Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The ceremony will begin shortly. Before we start the official program, please watch the following video on the history of TRADOC and its 52 years of contributions to the Army and service to the nation.
In the wake of the Vietnam War, the U.S. Army was at a crossroads. It needed a transformation. Its existing command structure, CONARC, was stretched to its breaking point. On July 31st, 1973, through Operation Steadfast, the Training and Doctrine Command, TRADOC, was born. Under the leadership of its first commander, General William E. Depew, TRADOC was given a monumental task: to be the architect of the Army, to take a civilian and forge a soldier, to take a soldier and develop a leader, to write the doctrine of how we fight and design a force that would win on the battlefield. The challenge was immediate, confronting the massive Soviet threat looming over Central Europe. TRADOC's answer was active defense, doctrine designed to win that first fight. It was a start, but a more audacious concept was needed. TRADOC delivered a revolution in military thought: air-land battle, a doctrine that didn't just meet the enemy at the front, but attacked in depth, synchronizing air and land power to seize the initiative and overwhelm the adversary. But doctrine alone was not enough. TRADOC drove the requirements for the legendary Big Five weapon systems: the M1 Abrams tank, the M2 Bradley fighting vehicle, the AH-64 Apache and UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, and the Patriot missile system. This powerful combination of revolutionary doctrine and superior technology, validated in the sands of Desert Storm, was TRADOC's first great wartime victory. TRADOC's revolution wasn't just about machines. It was about the true backbone of our Army: the people. TRADOC established the Non-Commissioned Officer Education System, a tiered professional path that transformed the NCO into a trusted leader. In 1980, TRADOC created the Crucible of Readiness, the Combat Training Center program. The deserts of the NTC and the woods of the JRTC rapidly became the proving grounds where units were tested against a thinking enemy, ensuring they were ready for the first battle, not just the last. With the initiation of the Global War on Terror, OEF and OIF, the battlefield no longer possessed a front line, but the population itself became the center of gravity. The Army was fighting an asymmetric war for which it had no modern playbook. The Army turned to TRADOC to deliver an American way of war. The 2006 Counterinsurgency Field Manual and later FM 3-07 Stability Operations were more than documents. They were a fundamental shift in mindset. It taught a generation of leaders that sometimes the best response is not firing a weapon at all, and that the human domain was now considered decisive terrain. As the Army shifted its focus from counterinsurgency to unified land operations, TRADOC continued to transform the training base by relentlessly modernizing how soldiers are forged into warriors, trained for combat, and developed into trusted leaders, ensuring the entire force was ready for a new era of conflict. When a global pandemic presented a challenge not seen in a century, the mission to build America's Army had to press on, and TRADOC knew it had to adapt and overcome challenges. The process of forging soldiers never wavered, proving its steadfast commitment to protecting our people and ensuring national readiness. But protecting the force was only part of the solution. TRADOC also sought to perfect it. This revolutionized how a soldier was to be built from day one. The Future Soldier Preparatory Course was instituted to unlock the potential of America's youth, helping them meet the demanding standards of service. At the same time, the Holistic Health and Fitness System, or H2F, transformed the focus of soldier well-being by integrating 5 critical domains: physical, nutritional, mental, spiritual, and sleep. With H2F, TRADOC began building stronger, more resilient, and lethal soldiers, preparing them for the rigors of the modern battlefield. TRADOC never stopped modernizing initial military training, making it tougher and more realistic than ever. Culminating events like The Forge tested recruits to their limits, while the integration of new technologies like drones and advanced simulations prepared them for the complexities of the modern battlefield. The engine of modernization continued to accelerate through a powerful partnership with Army Futures Command. TRADOC and AFC worked together to develop next-generation platforms like long-range precision fires and advanced armored vehicles, putting the tools of tomorrow into the hands of soldiers today. TRADOC's legacy is one of constant adaptation and innovation, delivering trained and lethal soldiers, NCOs, and officers to the Army who can fight, dominate, and win our nation's wars. Though transforming, TRADOC's legacy was and is foundational. It lives in every soldier who has worn the nation's cloth. For over 50 years, TRADOC has fulfilled its monumental task to train our soldiers, to develop our leaders, to write the doctrine of how we fight, and to design the force that wins our nation's wars. The mission evolves, the organization changes, but the standard of excellence, the commitment to our people, and the foundation of our Army's strength will forever endure. Because for more than half a century, one thing has always been true: victory will always start here.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to the United States Army Training and Doctrine Command Inactivation Ceremony. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is Lieutenant General David J. Francis, Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, and Commanding General, United States Army Center for Initial Military Training. We would like to welcome our distinguished visitors, the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable Daniel P. Driscoll. The 41st Chief of Staff of the Army, General Randy A. George and Mrs. Patty George. The 17th Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael R. Weimer. Headquarters Air Combat Command Commanding General, General Adrian L. Spain. Also with us today, the Mayor of Newport News, Mayor Philip Jones. Former TRADOC Command Sergeants Major retired, David Davenport and Timothy Gooden. The City of Hampton Chief of Police, Chief Jimmy Weidman. And we offer a very special welcome to our Gold Star families. We would like to extend warm greetings to general officers, commanders, command sergeants major, and members of the Greater Virginia Peninsula. The commanders in colors arrayed on the field represent the primary subordinate commands and centers of excellence that make up TRADOC. From left to right, they include the United States Army Combined Arms Center, represented by Brigadier General Jeremy Wilson and Command Sergeant Major Sean Carnes, the United States Army Center for Initial Military Training, represented by Colonel Joe Morgan and Sergeant Major Kent Condon. The United States Army Training Center, Fort Jackson, commanded by Major General Darrell Hood and Command Sergeant Major William Schoaf. The Aviation Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Claire Gill and Command Sergeant Major Kirk Coley. The Cyber Center of Excellence, represented by Brigadier General Mark Miles and Command Sergeant Major Nathaniel Piper. The Fire Center of Excellence, commanded by Brigadier General Patrick Costello and Command Sergeant Major Neil Sartain. The Intelligence Center of Excellence, represented by Brigadier General Michael Leesman and Command Sergeant Major Jesse Townsend. The Color Guard is comprised of non-commissioned officers from the Drill Sergeant Academy at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, led by the United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, Command Sergeant Major Raymond S. Harris. The Maneuver Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Colin Tully and Command Sergeant Major Brian Haight. The Medical Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Anthony McQueen and Command Sergeant Major Jesus Gonzalez. The Maneuver Support Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Christopher Beck and Command Sergeant Major Jorge Arzabala Jr. The Combined Arms Support Command and Sustainment Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Michelle Donahue and Command Sergeant Major James Lafrata. The U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School and Special Operations Center of Excellence, commanded by Major General Jason Slider and Command Sergeant Major Jeffrey M. Boucher. The Non-Commissioned Officer Leadership Center of Excellence, led by Command Sergeant Major Tammy Everett. The TRADOC Special Troops Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Baker. Also participating in today's ceremony is the 380th Army Reserve Band, commanded by Warrant Officer 1 Schaefer Burnett. The Salute Battery is comprised of soldiers from TRADOC's Special Troops Battalion. This afternoon, the 18th Training and Doctrine Commanding General, General Gary M. Brito, and the Training and Doctrine Command Sergeant Major Raymond S. Harris, will case the TRADOC colors, signifying the end to the command service. The host for today's ceremony is General Randy A. George, the 41st Chief of Staff of the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the adjutant as she begins the ceremony by directing the band to sound attention. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and honors to the host performed by the 380th Army Band and TRADOC Salute Battery. General George has deferred honors to General Brito. Please remain standing for the invocation by the TRADOC Command Chaplain. Today, General George is accompanied in the official party by the TRADOC Commanding General, General Gary M. Brito. The invocation will now be offered by the TRADOC Command Chaplain, Chaplain Colonel Shmuel Felsenberg.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we ask you to join us this day as we gather to mark the inactivation of U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command after some 52 impactful years of service to our great nation. Lord, please watch over its people, its leadership, staff, workforce, cadre, instructors, and trainees, uniformed service members spanning all ranks, as well as Army civilian professionals, and of course, their supported families. For all them, we offer endless thanks and lift them in prayer that they may continue to serve the cause of freedom during this time of critical transformation. Lord, you have watched over TRADOC from its headquarters here at Fort Eustis to a wide array of Army schools and centers of excellence spanning the country. Father, we ask that you acknowledge TRADOC's success in forging soldier warriors and developing leaders to provide a more lethal force for tomorrow's Army, a fighting force ready to fight and win anywhere, anytime. For all this and upon all those who played a part therein, we ask our Father in heaven to bestow his divine blessings now and always. And let us say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, the Drill Sergeant of the Year, Sergeant First Class Randall Smith, is presenting a bouquet of flowers to Mrs. Michelle Brito, a tradition symbolizing our appreciation for her support and contributions to the soldiers and families of TRADOC. The flowers reflect the love and concern she has shown to the soldiers, families, and civilians of the command. The flowers are in full bloom, symbolizing the fulfillment of her time with us here at TRADOC. To further commemorate this special occasion, Sergeant First Class Devontae McLean will now present General Brito a shell casing, which commemorates the last round fired during today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention back to the parade field as the Commander of Troops presents the command.
Sound, attention! Sound, officers in color, center, first! Sound, present arms! Staff, present arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem, performed by Chief Warrant Officer 3 retired Victor Trinidad.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Down, order, arms!
The colors under which a military unit exists symbolize its very soul. The colors record the unit's achievements and have been used by armies for centuries. In 17th century Europe, their different colored flags identified regiments. The colors led the regiment into battle, despite often heavy casualties suffered by the color bearers. To capture the enemy's colors was considered the highest achievement the victors could claim. Today, the TRADOC colors are being cased, signifying the inactivation of the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command and its 52-year legacy of distinguished service to the country. General George will preside as General Brito and Command Sergeant Major Harris case the colors, signifying the end of TRADOC service. In final recognition for the contributions of the Training and Doctrine Command's efforts over the last 3 years, supporting Army recruitment goals through the implementation of the Future Soldier Preparatory Course that successfully graduated over 42,000 recruits, and by the rapid implementation and rollout of holistic health and fitness across the Army, General George will present the Army's Superior Unit Award to Headquarters, United States Army Training and Doctrine Command, and attach the streamer to the colors before they are cased.
Sound, parade, rest! Staff, parade, rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Randy A. George.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. A little toasty, so appreciate everybody being here. First to my Ranger buddy and our Secretary of the Army, I know he's been out seeing our troopers around the country. Great to have you here. General Spain, Elmo, good to see you. Thank you also for being here and being such a great teammate. I think we have 16 Gold Star families that are here. I would like our Gold Star families to please stand up so that we can recognize you all. You're out here. Thank you. I know we got a bunch of former TRADOC leaders that are here. I also want to have all of our, I know we got the Mayor of Newport News, a bunch of folks from Senator Kane and Senator Warner's office. We always talk about, I think, moving around the Army, what a difference it makes and how the community supports. And that will continue here down at Eustis. So I would like all of them to stand up just so we can thank you for all that you do for our soldiers and families and airmen in this community. So if you could, please stand up. We want to recognize you as well. Where are you at, Mayor? Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, thanks for everyone for coming out to recognize and celebrate Training and Doctrine Command. I know casing the colors today is a little bit bittersweet, important that we move forward, and we'll talk about that. But I want to recognize the tremendous role this command has played in shaping our Army since 1973. And I know that the people inside this organization will continue to drive change as it merges with Army's Futures Command to become Transformation and Training Command. The world has changed dramatically since TRADOC was established. In 1973, our Army was focused on the Cold War and the possibility of large-scale conflict in Europe, withdrawal from Vietnam, and transitioning to an all-volunteer force. In the decades following, there was Desert Storm, post-Cold War operations around the globe, and the global war on terror. More recently, the pace of technological change has accelerated. Space, cyber, robotics, and AI are now a part of the battlefield, and the character of war continues to evolve. Through all of this, TRADOC has ensured that our Army kept pace. This command provided the framework for airland battle in the 1980s, for peacekeeping operations, and for counterinsurgency. And it has continued to refine the Army's doctrine for 21st century multi-domain war. TRADOC has also shaped our people. Every soldier in our formation has passed through TRADOC establishments, has been trained, developed, and impacted by the people in this command so that they are ready when they get to their units for what the future holds. They learn what right looks like at TRADOC and then carry those habits and lessons with them to our fighting formations. In the past several years, TRADOC has done some incredible things to better prepare our Army team. For instance, improve basic training to better emphasize physical fitness, weapons proficiency, and discipline, to incorporate battlefield realities like UAS and counter-UAS, and to inculcate young soldiers with an appreciation for our Army's heritage. You all helped lead experimentation for transformation and contact, which helped us develop and refine our new mobile brigade combat team concept in record time and move towards a more mobile, agile, and lethal Army. And you fought through recruiting headwinds by deliberately and aggressively transforming and adopting initiatives like the Future Soldier Prep Course, which allowed us to maintain strength without sacrificing standards. These accomplishments and so many others reflect the entire TRADOC team, the people who drive soldier development every day, on the range, in the classroom, engaging young troopers or writing doctrine and programs of instruction. I am grateful for the work that all of you do to evolve how we learn, how we train, how we lead, and how we recruit. And a special thank you, as we case the colors today, to General Brito and Command Sergeant Major Harris and the rest of the headquarters team. TRADOC is a large and eclectic command spread across 27 locations, and I know Gary understands that on a daily basis. You have led with grace, professionalism, and a steady vision for the future. Gary, I'll save most of my more personal comments about you and Michelle for your retirement next week, but I will say that I know you to be an exceptional leader, thoughtful, caring, and mission-driven. Thank you for being a great teammate and friend, pouring your heart into this organization and setting conditions for our transitions to T2COM next week. Michelle, I also want to thank you publicly for your mentorship and leadership of Army spouses. I know you were doing that right up to the end here over lunch. I know you put a lot of energy into Army families each and every day, so I'd like a big shout out here and a round of applause for Team Brito. I know this TRADOC team understands that the world is changing fast, that reality influences everything you do daily. Our adversaries are moving quickly, and technology even quicker. TRADOC was born out of a need for change in 1973, and today we are adjusting again to stay ahead. But some things remain the same. When people look back on TRADOC's history, they will see an organization that delivered things that always matter: winning doctrine, trained soldiers, and leaders who thrive in uncertainty. Thank you to everyone who has been part of the legacy of TRADOC. The Secretary of the Army and I look forward to seeing the foundation you built here carried forward in T2COM. Victory starts here. This will defend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 18th and final Commanding General of the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, General Gary M. Brito.
Hey, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon, teammates. Up front, at risk of breaking every drill and ceremony manual instruction, for those on the field holding the guidons, please relax your knees, relax the colors as best you can. I'll let you handle that, Sergeant Major. Thank you. I'm getting the evil eye, which means no, probably. But anyway. Teammates, good afternoon. Secretary Driscoll, Chief, Mrs. George, Patty, Sergeant Major of the Army Weimer, General Spain, Gold Star families, former TRADOC senior leaders, AFC, FCC teammates, distinguished guests, our community leaders, and all the tremendous soldiers, leaders, and Army civilian professionals. From TRADOC, FCC, and the tenant units here at JBLE, thanks so much for being here today. I may have jinxed myself last night when it was raining this morning, raining last night. I said at 13:30 the sun's going to come out and it's going to be bright. And it is very bright and very humid. I'd like to give a very special, heartfelt shout out to the Salute Battery, the band, ESO, protocol, and those landscapers that I saw working on the weekend, and so many others that showed the same level of pride in putting together this ceremony as you do in your daily work. Thank you for making this special ceremony not just great for my wife and me, but for the entire team in TRADOC and here at JBLE. Mr. Secretary, thank you for attending today. I know you had a couple of time zones to travel, and I thank you for your strategic leadership as well. Chief, thanks for the kind words, the recognition of Team TRADOC, and I would like to thank you for the maneuver space that you afforded me in doing my job and allowing me to concentrate on all that is involved in the focus area that you assigned us, the Army profession. And I also know that you traveled through multiple time zones to get here today, to include a ring route to Richmond Airport last night, and I thank you for that as well, Chief. Team, personally, this has been an amazing 3-year command. It would be impossible to thank everybody, so please know that if I do not mention you by name today, you are definitely in my heart and in my mind. I want to start off, and I must start off by thanking my family. My wife, Michelle, of 38 years and a couple of months. My oldest son, Matthew, a DA civilian here with us today. And my youngest son, Patrick, an Army aviator and Army captain stationed in Hawaii. I'm going to hit the hard part first. And if you see any watery eyes, it's the dust and stuff, trust me. Hey, my ride or die for 38 plus years now, Michelle. Always stable, always smiling, unless I get myself in trouble, and always supportive. So Michelle, over the past 3 years, with numerous TDYs, an Oconus trip, multiple day trips, some planned, some unplanned, occasional weekend calls and more, you remained the sunshine of my life and my reason for being. And for that, I thank you. All of Team TRADOC thanks you. Your interactions with the PCC spouses monthly, visits with me to each COE, the mentoring sessions on Zoom, MS Teams, or whatever you were on, and closer to the home front, the support, the caring support that you gave the 5th Floor Command Team helped TRADOC and myself fire on all cylinders. I can never thank you enough. I know that, but I will surely try in the next few weeks. To my sons, Matthew and Patrick, keep pressing hard and excelling. I'm very proud of you both, are proud pops, even though you call me old school sometimes. It's all right. Hey, I must name a few that I was fortunate to serve with over these past 3 years in this great command. And I promise not to be too long-winded. Aides, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Muscus, commanding a battalion now at Fort Carson, Colorado. Lieutenant Colonel Danny Priester, both absolute rock stars with unlimited potential. And I won't show anybody those photos of y'all sleeping on the plane. It's okay. XOs, Pete Glass, now General Pete Glass, Dan Blackman, and currently Greg McLean. My deputies, Lieutenant General retired Maria Gervais. Maria, thank you to you and Chris for being here today. Current Lieutenant General Dave Francis, Mr. Mike Formica, and recently retired Biggs, Lieutenant General Beagle, former CAC commander. What a great team we had, and I have been so fortunate to have each of you helping both out front and often behind the scenes making stuff happen. I appreciate your friendship, leadership, and your professionalism. And I cannot leave out my 2 Command Sergeant Majors, now retired Command Sergeant Major Dan Hendricks and the current Command Sergeant Major Ray Harris. Ladies and gentlemen, this team deserves, and I would say requires, role model senior non-commissioned officers at the helm. And these 2 gentlemen were just that. Big Ray, Command Sergeant Major Harris, I look forward to seeing the great things that you will do as a TCOM Command Sergeant Major. And I will keep my promise after I get those golfing lessons in, we'll hit the turf. A rumor has it my schedule was a bit challenging, so a heartfelt thank you to Mr. Terry Freeman and Mr. Loris Mitchell for keeping things straight and keeping things legal. You may recall success is not being in the Army time, so I appreciate that. And team, I could go on with so many, but instead we'll cast a wide net of gratitude to the entire TRADOC staff, special staff, ESO, protocol team, our congressional L&O team, CPG, the foreign liaisons, COMO, the drivers, the joint partners here at JBLE, and lastly, represented here today, the stalwart commanders and command sergeant majors on the field, and the great soldiers and civilians that you represent. Each and every one of you delivered every day, operating with intent, within intent, on a tight budget, and showing what excellence is all about. So in 2 words, I thank you. And I must add, of all the tenants on post, a special thank you, and I would commend the tremendous work in support of the Garrison Command and McDonald Medical Center for your first-class support 24/7. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, team, I'm the first to know, and I know that you know, this may not be the type of ceremony we often see. But as the chief said, it is happening because of important change and necessary change in our Army. Important change that will sharpen the warfighting capabilities of our units, accelerate innovation, and deliver a unity of effort that will ensure our Army beats, not meets. Our Army will beat any adversary, anywhere, anytime in the world. Our Army is merging 2 already great formations to create another great formation that will be streamlined and can meet and adapt to the challenges in the operational environment and yet anticipate those of the future. I don't need to revisit the why. We spent plenty of time together over the last couple of months. We have been working on this transition since May. And make no mistake, this is an historically important moment. So today, though, is about TRADOC as an organization. Everything that this headquarters and units have done and big emphasis on the people, uniformed and civilian alike, who have made it a great organization, not only for these last 3 years, but for the 50 years preceding that. And just like the 17 commanding generals before me, I was amazed every day at the dedication, commitment, and professionalism this team displayed on a routine basis. And not to recap everything that you saw in the video, but it's important to note as we look back at our 52 years plus of history, everything we did exemplified the motto of this command, victory starts here. Its first two commanders, Generals Dupuy and Starry, rebuilt the Army after Vietnam because of a necessary change. That revolution started in this headquarters, although at another location. And in short, team, TRADOC drove change like no other Army institution. And as the chief said, developing concepts, doctrine, and driving the development of the Big Five that you saw in the video just a few moments ago. And so indeed it is fitting that we are here today, just adjacent behind those the bleachers, with that Bradley fighting vehicle and the Abrams tanks that were among the systems that changed our Army and started right here. And for years to follow, the Big Five, up until present day, this command prepared a professional and lethal Army, and it will continue to in the years ahead. Now, team, I am fortunate to have served in TRADOC 4 times, including this command tenure. And whether that is good, bad, or indifferent, what I do know for sure, with certainty, is that we have an amazing talent up and down the formation. Talent that has experienced headwinds, tailwinds, successes, and challenges. But this talented team always delivered for the Army and delivered the institutional excellence it enjoys and needs so much. In September of 2022, I shared a few core tasks with you. Train the best warfighters, develop competent leaders, shape the future force, and build a warfighting culture. And then I also went on to say, if we did nothing else, we must do those first two. Train soldiers and develop leaders. Well, team, you did all of that in great fashion, accomplishing these tasks and then some, and simply getting it done as a team for our Army. It would be impossible to list everything, and the chief hit a few: Future Soldier Prep Course, H2F, BCT expansion, professional dialogue through the Harding Project, the mobile readiness team supporting our TIC formations in development today. In some, continual institutional transformation, not for anybody's personal resume, mine included, but for the readiness of our great Army. This command ensured our profession remained strong, and those we trained and developed were ready. Full stop, period. And you know why? Because this command has and will continue to have great people. People who give a darn, people across all the centers of excellence, the 2 joint bases, regional training sites, and more, who remain committed to those core tasks mentioned earlier. I am speaking today directly to the soldiers and civilians of the TRADOC team when I say this. Please be very proud of all you have done. I could not be prouder of how this team, for the past few months, remained strong and set the conditions for success for T2COM. And you know, that says an awful lot about your professionalism and your character. So although these case colors close one chapter in our great history, you will be an integral part of the next chapters yet to be written. You will build the first layer of bricks, a statement you have heard me say many times before, ensuring that our great United States Army is ready to fight at any time. The Army leadership, the future leadership of TCOM will need your expertise, knowledge, experience, professionalism, and dedication. I have full faith and confidence you will continue to be great Army professionals and get it done. Our security depends on it. Our warfighting readiness depends on it. And guess what? Our soldiers deserve it. So today it is with the utmost respect and honor that I will say a final victory starts here. Team, this will defend. God bless you all. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Sound, attention! Sound, colors, post, park! Sir, permission to time for time colors.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Army song and remain standing for the departure of the colors. Words to the Army song are included in your program, and we invite you to sing along. Time color. Sir, this concludes the ceremony. Commanders, take charge. Right? Over. Pull. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please feel free to come and offer a short well-wish to General and Mrs. Brito in the front of the event stand. General Brito will host a community reception in the adjacent tent located outside Building 950 for invited guests. So we ask that you keep your conversations in the receiving line short, as there will be additional opportunities during the reception to thank General and Mrs. Brito. Thank you for attending today's ceremony.